All right, welcome everyone. This is DocuSign for HR. My name is Matt Ketchum. I'm the Director of Marketing for DocuSign. And joining me is Stisha Ponchuk. I didn't butcher that too much. The HR Technology Manager for the San Diego Zoo. Keeping and retaining talent is now more important than ever to the success of an organization. And today what we're going to do is we're going to share some best practices for thinking about taking DocuSign across your entire HR department. It helps you give a leg up on that war for talent, helps you make interacting with HR for your employees an enjoyable experience instead of a chore. So your first question is probably, why am I going to listen to a marketer talk about HR? The truth is I have a dark secret in my past. I haven't always been a marketer. Before joining DocuSign, I was part of the HR team at Shutterfly. This is Peter Navin. He's our head of HR at DocuSign. He was my boss at Shutterfly in HR for a bit. He made me transition to the dark side. While I was there, I ran employment branding, company communications, workplace services, and even corporate real estate. So I'm all too familiar with the realities of working within the HR trenches. So let me see, show of hands, who's using DocuSign for offer letters today? Okay, not a huge surprise, a good number of hands up because offer letters are the #1 use case for DocuSign in HR today. And there's an old saying that an organization is never going to treat you better than when they're recruiting you. And unfortunately, that's not exactly a great strategy for keeping and winning talent. The great DocuSigning experience that you provide with offer letters can't stop there if you want to win the war for talent. You have to be able to move beyond that first initial use case. So what we have to be thinking is, how can we use DocuSign across that employee life cycle to make sure that we're giving them those great experiences throughout their time with your organizations so that they enjoy working there, so that they can be more productive in their jobs, and so that they want to stay with you. So first up is that offer letter process for those of you who haven't transitioned from paper-based. And if you think about your employees, they're accustomed to one-click shopping with Amazon. They're accustomed to on-demand video, binge-watching shows. And then they come through your recruiting process, and they're faced with time lags. They're faced with all the hassles associated with printing, mailing, faxing, scanning. It's a complete disconnect. And on the flip side, in HR, we're going to deal with the lack of visibility that the paper process causes. You don't know where an offer letter is sitting. You don't know if that person is planning to sign it. Have they even opened it up? What are they doing? And then on the other side, all the manual efforts associated with printing things out, packing them up, sending them out, when you get them back, making sure that they're filed and stored. So headaches on both sides of the equation. As a great example, Salesforce transitioned to using DocuSign for their HR department. I'm pretty sure you know what Salesforce does. In the past 2 years, they've doubled their employee headcount, added about 10,000 new employees, and they couldn't have had this scale without DocuSign as a key component of their HR offer letter process. And the number here that I'm going to zero in on is the $46 for every offer letter transaction. If you think about that, doubling their workforce, adding 10,000 employees times $46, they're saving $500,000 that they're able to put back into adding value for their employees instead of having it be about pushing paper around. Next up, you've got onboarding. You know the drill. Employee shows up at work on their first day. How are you? Here's your mountain of paperwork to fill out for us. Not exactly a great first day experience. And HR has the same mountain of paperwork that they have to deal with on the other end. And because it's such a pain in the ass for the employee to fill out all that paperwork, they're not going to go and do it right away. They're going to have to track them down to get those last signatures, to fill out all those forms, and heaven forbid that they don't fill something out correctly. Your HR generalist has to go and track them down to get all that data put in correctly. It's a huge waste of time for you, and it means that your employees aren't getting in their seats and productive as fast as you'd like them to be. So one great example of that is Smartsheet. If you're not familiar with them, they're the market leader in project management and coordination software. They use DocuSign across their HR department. Now, salespeople can't sell if they're filling out paperwork. With DocuSign, what Smartsheet is able to do is to get their salespeople in their seats and productive faster. Their comp plans, their benefits enrollment, their employee code of conduct, IT asset tracking, and all other forms when they show up for work, they're going to execute those via DocuSign and save a ton of hours for them in their sales department as well as in the HR department in terms of tracking down that paper. After the onboarding, you've got the long period of employee maintenance. These are the paper-based HR processes that happen throughout an employee's time at the office. Things like timesheets, vacation requests, performance reviews. At best, they're a distraction to your employees, and at worst, they're a real productivity inhibitor. On the opposite side, they're also a productivity inhibitor for your HR team. That's time taken away from the things that really add value to your employees and time spent managing the paperwork that the rest of your employees are filling out. A great example of this is Orshelm Farm and Home. You're probably familiar with them if you're in the Midwest and a farmer. How many are farmers? So for those of you who aren't familiar with them, they operate over 160 stores that manage farm and home supplies, so a pretty big retail footprint. And they see huge benefits in the everyday maintenance of their workforce via DocuSign. Specifically benefits like having complete visibility into where all the paperwork is, the ability to automatically send out reminders to their employees to fill things out. I mean, if you think about a retail footprint that spans multiple states, 160 retail locations, being able to send out on one click a reminder to folks to fill out that paperwork that they haven't done is a huge benefit for the organization so that they don't have to use their HR people's time to go in and call someone up. Have you filled out that paper? Have you sent it back yet? And lastly, there's offboarding. We live in an age of reputation, and nothing is going to drive a bad Glassdoor review faster than a shitty offboarding experience. You don't want to leave the last taste in an employee's mouth being a bitter one. But that's exactly what the traditional offboarding process tends to look like in terms of the amount of paperwork that we're pushing around for those employees. School of Rock, this is a music academy. They operate 170 different music academies across 8 countries. They've deployed DocuSign across their entire HR department, but they're seeing the best value in managing processes like that offboarding process. And there are a couple things about it that provide them with great value there. One is the seamless integration that it has, in their case with NetSuite, but across their entire HRIS portfolio so that they can easily pull data and push data back through the systems. And then I love the quote at the bottom. We take compliance very seriously. DocuSign helps us mitigate risk because we can audit our compliance at the individual school, region, or company level. They're able to take a sensitive area like employee offboarding and make sure that they've got the security and compliance boxes checked for those employees. So best practices, things that you can be thinking about as you think about where to go with DocuSign in HR or moving it beyond that first use case in HR. The first one, offer letters, are just a perfect place to start. I shared the example of Salesforce saving $46 on every single transaction that they're using an offer letter through DocuSign for. If you saw the main stage presentations yesterday, you saw Meg Whitman talk about sending 300,000 offer letters to HP in their split. You heard Don Thompson talk about McDonald's sending out hundreds of thousands of offer letters every year to employees at McDonald's. It's a relatively easily implementation and it delivers huge value both in terms of dollar savings as well as in the experience that your employees have. Second, quick wins. The most common phrase that you're going to hear this week is probably digital transformation, but close behind that is quick wins. And that's because quick wins really do matter. Not just with DocuSign, but with everything at work. Being able to show those early results, even from a pilot project, both in terms of the experience that your employees have as well as in terms of dollar savings, that gets you the permission to go for more complex use cases, more difficult things to implement. So focus on those quick wins at the start. And third, find champions in other parts of the organization to get this done. We all know that HR can be viewed purely as a cost center. Finding folks within your organization who can help you be a champion to drive projects through is the way to get out of that mentality. So if you look at the example of Smartsheet and what they were able to do with their onboarding process, they needed to get their salespeople in their seats faster. That's an HR use case, onboarding, but that didn't come from HR as the driver of that process. That came from sales, a big sales business need. So the combination of HR having that business process and sales deriving a huge benefit from that is what enabled them to get a use case implemented that shows incredible value for the organization. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Stisha Ponchuk. Stisha, as I mentioned, is the Human Resources Technology Manager for the San Diego Zoo. She's going to talk you through their journey in taking DocuSign from those initial quick win use cases all the way through the rest of the HR department and beyond now. It's a story I'm thrilled about and talking to Stisha about. And she's going to talk you how their journey has been and what things that they're seeing and the next challenges that they're working through. Thanks.
Hi. Thank you, Matt, for the introduction, and thank you for coming. Can I just do a quick poll before I start? How many of you work in human resources right now? Very few. So the rest of you are here because you're hoping I'd bring an animal, right? I'm not going to disappoint you. I did. If you all just stay seated, they get nervous. I was able to bring with me today our 400-pound male lion, Mbari. He's right at the back. Thank you, 4 people, for looking. I'm just kidding. We can't bring him with us. So, but I don't think I'm going to disappoint you. I have some pretty cool use cases that we've used at my organization. And I'm going to talk about how we started in HR, how we branched out, and how now we've digitally transformed our organization using DocuSign. A little bit about my organization. Some of you have heard of us, maybe you haven't. We're San Diego Zoo Global. We own and operate 3 big facilities. Our San Diego Zoo, which is in the heart of San Diego. The San Diego Zoo Safari Park, which is about 30 miles north and 18 times the size of the zoo, if you've ever been there. And then our San Diego Zoo Institute for Conservation Research, which is the hub of where our wildlife conservation sort of starts. You're probably thinking, okay, well, I'm not a zoo, and there aren't a lot of zoos here, so how do I relate to her? Well, we do have 3,000 employees at our peak. We hire 1,200 employees a year, roughly. We're a nonprofit, and here's where you're really going to relate. We are 100 years old, exactly, this year. So if you work in an old organization, and maybe even if you don't, you've probably heard this phrase. It's my least favorite. That's how we've always done it. Well, why don't we try this new thing? Well, that's kind of how we've always done it. Okay, yeah, we're 100 years old, so I can see why change is hard, and it was very hard for us. So hopefully you'll get out of this ways that you can get past that terrible phrase. I will tell you that 23% of our staff have been there for 20 years or more. 10% of them have been there for 30 years or more, and we have people in the 40 and 45-year range as well. So that phrase is extra sticky with us. Luckily, I have a CHRO that is innovative, and he wants our HR department and our technology to be as world-class as our animal care. So he made me our HR technology manager, and I wanted to kind of get past that. That's how we've always done it. I'm not that person, and I refuse to take that. So we were like, we need to revolutionize what we're doing. We need to get more of the money that comes in as a nonprofit and put it back to cheetah toys, because that's what I care about, not paperwork. So where do we start? Well, in 2013, this is where the change was made, so it's as far back as I'll take you. And by the way, I didn't bring the line, but I did this for you guys. So you're not going to see a lot of numbers or things, just cute stuff. Don't even look at me. Just look over there. So in 2013, we were doing, this is how we did our hiring 1,200 people a year. We do these big hiring events. We would bring in a few hundred people, interview them. Yeah, you're great. Come on over, do some paperwork. We have 20 people in HR. 10 of them would sit at a table. I kind of want to go down here because there's people back there. Is this okay? Can you guys see me? I won't block this. So we'd have 10 HR people lined up at a table, and we would process the new hires in an assembly line to make sure that the W-4s were done right, and the I-9s were done right, and they'll take your picture, and they'll check your documents, and they'll give you your handbook. It was not a great experience for the new hires who just want to see stuff like this. And it wasn't great for us either, because we have to, like Matt said, when it all comes in, we take it inside, we alphabetize, we hole punch, we put it in binders. It was awful. That was what we were doing before. Now, each new hire got 150 pieces of paper that first day. A lot of that's the handbook. You rolled your eyes, and I'm glad, because that's how I feel. A lot of that's the handbook, but a lot of it's the stuff. Here's your copies of all of that. So we do the math. 150 sheets of paper, 1,200 people a year, 180,000 sheets of paper for a conservation organization. And that's just onboarding. That's terrible. We couldn't keep that up. So we decided to look at, okay, we're generating all this paper. That's not so bad. We give it out. We don't have a ton of paper here. No, we do. We have filing cabinets. Between our 2 main campuses, we had 10 filing cabinets. And I learned from LinkedIn.com that each filing cabinet costs $25,000 to build, to fill, and $2,500 a year to maintain. I mean, that's true. We had to put in the labor to fill it up, to hire people, to make the copies, to alphabetize. Then when we need to go back to those filing cabinets, we need to look through. Some things are misfiled. Some things are missing. That takes time and labor to find. It's all here. And again, this is cheetah toy money. So we can't be spending it on these file cabinets. First thing that needs to go are the cabinets. Well, what about the people that work around the world? I didn't mention this, but San Diego Zoo Global is in over 80 countries around the world. We're almost where McDonald's is. And we're on 6 continents. Now, if I'm sending paperwork out to someone in Botswana who's planting chili plants around a crop so that we're eliminating human-animal conflict for the farmers, do you think they have a printer in their pocket or a fax machine? Absolutely not. In fact, I haven't seen a fax machine in a while, and I'm happy for that. But they do have their phone in their pocket, and if they have the DocuSign app, I can get them to sign something. We need to focus on these weird-looking things and not paperwork, okay? So in 2013, we had a new plan of action. This is around the time that our organization made our new mission and vision. Our vision, just so you know, is that we are going to lead the fight against extinction. There's a very audacious vision, and HR wanted to follow suit. We're going to be bold. We are going to make paper go extinct. It's a little backwards from our vision, but that was our goal. We're going to change the way things are done here. So we put it in our HR strategic plan. No more paper. We are going paperless. We needed to start with those filing cabinets. Start with the paper that we already have. I feel bad for your neck. Okay, I'll go right here. Start with the paper that we already have. So we found a document storage solution for us. It's called Dynafile. We shopped around, and it's the one that works best for us. If you want to talk about it, I'm happy to discuss it with you. So we'll put all of our paper in there. Great. All of our personnel records are in there. We threw away the filing cabinets. We actually recycled them. And good. So we're paperless, right? Well, what about all the new paper that's coming in? We can still scan it into Dynafile, and we can call ourselves paperless. But if the end is paperless, that doesn't mean that we are. The start needs to be paperless. And that's when we started with DocuSign. We got a limited license, and we said, if we can prove that DocuSign is going to revolutionize how we do things, then we'll be able to spend our nonprofit limited funds on putting DocuSign everywhere and making a difference. So we started with our biggest pain, the onboarding. We said, January 1st, 2014, no more assembly lines, no more having people fill out paperwork, no more paper handbooks that no one's going to read. We know. We're going to do it paperlessly. We sent out every single new hire packet through DocuSign. There was not a single person that couldn't do it. Not a single person came to us and said, I don't have an email address. I don't like this. That we had, all of them were done with this way, and most of them actually complimented us on how we were doing it. Oh, you guys are 100 years old, but you're doing this new technology. It's very innovative. It had proven to us this is the way to go. And not only did we get everything in that way, but all those problems we had with W-4s and I-9s, checking to make sure they did it right. If you've ever done an I-9 and they do it wrong, you have to initial it in different colored ink and date it in different colored ink. It's a lot of work. We use conditional formatting in our forms to eliminate 100% of the errors on W-4s and I-9s. We did not allow employees to make mistakes that we would have to correct. It's good for everyone. And if you want to learn how we did that, I'm happy to talk to you after this. I also put my cards back there, so feel free to take them. Give me a call. My cell phone's on there. So for us, we had instant results. We had proven what we needed to for HR. We took it even further. We started to do power forms. So these are onboarding for new employees. What about our current employees? Shouldn't they get the benefit too? So we have an intranet where all employees can go on and print off forms, and then they fill them out and they interoffice them in. In between interofficing, we have different campuses, and I'm not saying things ever get lost, but things get lost. And so then we have to do more work, and we're printing, scanning, all that. So we did power forms for our tuition reimbursement, continuing education, general leaves. We're very generous. Jury duty leaves, bereavement leaves. All of our forms are done this way. So we started with onboarding. We moved to every single form in HR. Now, when you touch all the other employees with these forms, they start to get really excited. We did an HR technology training for all of our supervisors and managers, and I offered, whoever wants to do this, I'll train you. And you can do this on your forms. So I trained 130 people since we've implemented, over 35 departments. Since we've implemented, we have sent out 26,000 envelopes. We've created 250 templates and 100 power forms. And this started in HR, kind of from the bottom up. So it's gone very well. Now, one department in particular, well, I'll tell you about a couple first before I go to this great, exciting one. A couple of departments that have used this since. Security does it for key card request forms. The keepers do it for animal enrichment forms. It's just a really cute form, like what toys can I get them and treats and stuff. And then one that I love, seems kind of like I wouldn't love it, but I do. It's our animal welfare concern form. This is a form that can be accessed by the public or by employees that says, do you have any concerns with the way that we're doing things? We're very transparent. So anyone can put on there, hey, I saw the jaguar the other day wasn't being cuddled. They can put it on there anonymously. We made it so this power form can be anonymous. And if you want to talk about that, let's talk about that after this, because it's pretty cool. So people aren't afraid to submit their concerns, which means we're getting more information about our animal welfare and enrichment. Okay, so that was my exciting one, the animal welfare. Now let's talk about a recent one that came in. We have an education program, and they do summer camps. So in these summer camps, we get about 3,000 kids during the summer who come in, and they can stay during the day and meet a bunch of animals and learn about conservation. Well, each kid that comes in, we need to know about them. Do they have peanut allergies? Do they have bee allergies? Do they have any developmental or behavioral information we need to know about? And, what's their name and their age. So we would have a 3-page waiver and registration form for each of these 3,000 kids every summer. Well, guess what happens to those? After all the parents wait in line the day of, and there's hundreds of kids each week, so it's not 3,000 at once, but after they wait in line the day of, they fill it out, then we alphabetize and we file and we pay for some storage locker for 7 years, however long we keep it. It's too much. So we made, last summer, the summer camp waivers go in DocuSign. We used bulk send. We took the information from the registration portal online where parents said, my kid's coming. We took that. I bulk sent out 3,000 of these waivers and asked, please complete it ahead of time. But I included the PDF of the form and gave them the choice. This is the way we decided to implement. The way they've always done it was on paper. So I'm going to let them either do it the way they've always done it or try our new way. 87% of the 3,000 kids were done the new way. They had a choice, and they did it the new way, which eliminated errors and also allowed us to use Retrieve, DocuSign's reporting tool, to create rosters from the forms that were turned in. We used the data, made rosters, kids come in, what's your name? Great, okay, we'll keep you away from peanuts. Awesome, but we'll show you some lions. So this revolutionized how we did summer camp. We have another camp that we're running right now, and it's called Roar and Snore, and there's these tents out by the lions, not in with the lions, by the lions, so you hear them at night. And we decided to try the same process for Roar and Snore. It's going on right now. I made the power form in less than an hour. I kid you not. We sent it out, and we didn't give them a choice this time. So this program's had about 500 people go through it so far this season. 100% of them turned in the forms through DocuSign on time, no errors, and our rosters are 100% complete. No problems at all. We've gotten a lot of compliments. This is going a long way. DocuSign's exceeded our expectations in every use case. In HR, we're not doing our assembly lines anymore. We're not filing. We're not losing documents. Not that we ever did, but we can send things out to the field workers. We can send them between our offices. Every department loves it. You would think that you get this pushback from our longtime employees, but I have to tell you, starting in HR and working our way up, every single one of our executives, our executive directors, refuses to sign any other way. And we have a board of trustees. They refuse to sign any other way. So HR, the office that nobody ever wants to go to, started, I mean, no offense to us, started this, and it spread like wildfire. So where we hope to go in the future, we still have a few challenges. We want to do reviews and counseling notices, and I know there's a way to do it using sign in person, but I'm not there yet. So if you know, grab my card, give me a call, and tell me how to do it. I love that. Medical leaves. These are all things that I'm looking forward to solving because we're not going to do it the way we've always done it. We're going to do it this way. This is the way we do it now. DocuSign is part of our culture. And because of this digital transformation, our money goes further. The money that comes in from guests and donors goes further and goes back to our best customer, the animals. So I encourage you to, well, of course, come and see me at San Diego Zoo, and you can meet our real 400-pound male lion, Mbari. He's actually there. Or we can work together. Give me a call, give me an email, and let's work on some of these cases that I'm really excited about. I actually talk about this outside of work. So I was excited to come here and talk to people who wanted to come hear it. So thank you so much for letting me take your time.
All right, so we've got a little bit of time left. We can do a bit of Q&A. I've got some questions, but I wanted to open it up to you guys to see if there's anything that you had for Stisha or myself.
Hi.
For your onboarding, how are you pulling that information out of DocuSign and then organizing it into like an employee file so that you are actually keeping my onboarding with my electric maintenance forms and things like that?
So Dynafile, the document storage software that we use, is linked with DocuSign, and so just by putting your name on your forms, it flows automatically into DocuSign, or Dynafile, excuse me, under each employee's name and under the document type. So in Dynafile, you can say, I want to look at everybody's W-4s, and it'll sort by that. Or you can say, I want to look at all of Stisha's file, and you can see that. So the scanned-in personnel file is already there, and then every new document that comes in is automatically filed. I don't even really know how to alphabetize anymore. Don't ask me the alphabet, because I haven't had to do it.
And did you guys have to build that?
No, I don't even know how it happened. I was talking about it yesterday with someone, and I guess just magic. I think DocuSign and Dynafile may have worked together before. I don't remember. I hope I'm not ruining anything, but I don't remember paying for that, actually. I think they just did it. There is a feature I was looking at yesterday. It's called Connect. So if you're in your users, and then it's Connect, that's where we put Dynafile, and we put in whose forms go in there. So some departments, we don't want their forms to go in our Dynafile, because that's HR. So legal got their own Dynafile, and theirs go over there. So it's really magic. Yes, we use the Connect. You're welcome. Good question.
So how did you guys do the initial, import of the data? Because it's a lot of employees. Do you scan everything?
Great question. So yeah, 10 filing cabinets. And how did we do the initial import? I'm sorry. Into Dynafile, we hired a company who does batch scanning. And so they just took our files and they gave us access to those while they were doing it. They just took all of our files and they scanned it in. And I don't want to take too much of your time, but they do this really unique barcoding thing. So they'll put a barcode, a Stisha barcode on top of Stisha's file, and then another barcode in between, and then they just scan it all at once. So all of Stisha's stuff goes in her file, and all of Matt's stuff goes in his. So the initial one took maybe 2 weeks, but we didn't do anything because we hired a company to do it, and then they shred everything afterward. And then since then, we've never done a batch scan since. It's been one thing at a time. If someone brings us something paper, we usually make a face, like, ugh, okay, and then we scan it in. But most of it's coming from DocuSign, and we never look at any process. It's just, you do it, it's in, and then we complain that it took 1 second. So, yeah.
So on the same line, so from barcoding to Dynafile, did you do the work?
From what?
Barcoding to Dynafile?
No. I did literally no work. I should really have found that out before I came. If anyone did any work, it was so easy.
So the people who read the barcode,
Oh, the barcoding. The company who does the scanning, I think they've worked with Dynafile before, and so they know when they take out the manila folder with the Stisha, they put a Stisha barcode. Yeah, we didn't have to do any of that. It was great. Any other questions? Yes.
So do you work through the DocuSign console? Aside from the Dynafile connection, is anything else a connector or integration API?
No, we haven't done anything that cool, and I've looked at it. I'd like to do it, but so far everything's worked for us. We haven't really hit any barriers using just the console, And we love using it too. So with 130 users daily, they're just going in and making all of their own forms. And going from the way we used to do it to this is pretty exciting and a lot for us right now. But I do have plans to use the API and to do a lot more out of the console. Good question, yes.
What about the medical records of employees in this one master file, which we currently don't do, keep them separate? So is there a medical, personal, confidential file for Matt as well as a general employment file?
Yes, so it's kind of weird because they're not really files. It's sort of like Excel, how you can just sort by different things. So if an employee uses a DocuSign Power Form to request their file, I go into Dynafile and I just check the things that I would include in a personnel file, and I send it to them through Dynafile, or I send them a link. Or if an auditor needs it, I send the auditor a link. So it's kept separate. They don't have access to it at all.
You control that though on a one-by-one employee.
Right, because it's named medical. So I put medical in the name and everything else. So I sort out medical and I send them everything else. So they're kept, I mean, rather than in the same, or file cabinets next to each other, they're just kept electronically next to each other, but in the same one file.
And so it is then easy to retrieve for the auditor.
Yes, yes. For auditors, we used to. They would call in and say, I need this and this and this. And then we used to take the labor to go find it and find between the 100 years that we've been around, get all the files, send it to them, or make copies, send it to them. Hopefully we get it back with everything. This way you just click it, send them a link, and then we shut off access when we don't want them to have it anymore. Yeah, please.
How do you differentiate or redact your like social security information on your documents? On your DINA file, you have all those. Do you do any other process to hide SSN?
Well, with DocuSign, I mean, when they're filling it out, we can use the mask where we hide what they're typing in. But when it comes to us, just like it would on the regular W-4, it's not redacted. It just used to be paper. So we would just hopefully store it safely. But now with Dynafile, it's very limited access. So we're only the people who could see the social security number before can see it now. But now we can also pull reports from it. Please.
When you're sending items to, let's say, I don't know, let's say you're sending an item to somebody and they sign it on their phone. Have you ever had the experience where they didn't actually put much of a squiggle on it or anything like that?
You know, that's a good question. Sometimes, I don't know if I'm allowed to
Yeah,
say this, but I've
go ahead.
drawn cats. I draw cats and flowers. Right, because from what I understand and what I've read and what I train, the picture or the signature doesn't really matter. And when we implemented DocuSign, I made that very clear because we've got but I know my signature and I've worked on it for 50 years. You can't take that away from me. And I explained very well, it's that unique identifying code that matters. And we're going to go on the certificate and see whose email address signed it. So if there were the dot and I got the question, or if somebody questioned my cat picture, that's how I would explain it. Great question.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, around 26,000 since the end of 2013. I am the person who supports it, and this is 3% of my job. So I will say administering, training. I mean, training is my favorite. I do a 2-hour training for every one of those 130 people who do it, because when you have access, our name is on it. I mean, they could go in and make a power form and assign it to our president and CEO and say he sent it out. So I go through and I train everyone over 2 hours on all of the mistakes that I have made so they don't do it again. So I really am the admin and support team. It's not that I want to steal it. Everyone's really excited about it. But once they're trained, I almost never hear from them again. They make their own templates. They make their own. So I just get really excited and I tell everybody about it and say, oh, I'd like to try it. And once they're in, I mean, it's pretty user-friendly. So they're doing that. But if they have issues, or I do give myself, and this may be a tip for any admins, I do give myself access to their folders. So I can't send anything out as them, but if they call and say, what was the issue, I can go in and correct an envelope or make an edit. So I am always there for them to do that. So you're the only admin? Yes. Yeah.
So you separate the users by media groups?
We do have some groups, and that's really nice. Like a sales, if you have a sales form, and we don't care who in sales signs it, we do the group signing, which I love. But a lot of them are individual users. So we started with the HR, and then I kind of went out to departments and said, who are your admins? Who are the people who are actually creating your forms? Because I know our president and CEO and our CFO said, we want accounts. And I was like, what do you ever create? I mean, I would never do this to them. But in my head, I'm like, what do you create? What form do you ever see? So I said, let me talk to your admin. And I worked with a lot of admins. And then managers said, well, I want to do my timesheets and I want to do my requests and my travel requests. So then whoever wants it, I give it. I don't even have to sell it.
I mean to say, sales do not want to see the HR.
Oh, right. For the storage?
Right. I mean, once they go to manage the templates,
Mm-hmm.
do the user from sales have access to your
Oh.
template to HR?
So when you create a template, you choose who you want to share with. So some groups did have me create a group, and they'll share with their group. And yes, but we have some templates organization-wide. And one of our favorite features is when you open up a template and then you do save template as. We're stealing each other's templates all the time. We love it. Why create more work, right? Yes, please.
What do you recommend for someone who's brand new to get up to speed on things like templates and PowerPoint?
Well, the admin certification course here, I did do that, and I loved it. It was 2 years after I'd already been working with it, so a lot of it was familiar, but a lot of it made the things that I was doing easier because I took the long way. I didn't know. So the admin certification course is great. The tutorials are great. Using their help, I've always been responded to within 24 hours. And then if you know anyone with DocuSign, I literally have trained friends outside of work on how to do it for fun. Not even like for work, and they're my friends, not coworkers. So if you can find someone who uses it, they'll probably be really excited to train you on it. But the cert course is good, tutorials.
Yeah, they're great online tutorials that'll walk you through pretty much every functionality that we have. Kind of do your own mini demo on a feature by feature basis for the things that you're interested in.
Ooh, and test. Oh my gosh, test before you send out. Test, and when you test, don't test with the CEO's name in it. Even though it's going to be a form that goes to him, lesson learned, test with your name in it or a friend's name, okay? Because they see it when you avoid it. So, any other questions? Yes.
Just curious, how do you get your application information from Dynafile onto your HR payroll system?
So several ways. Like how Retrieve has a way that you can pull data fields and into reports, you can pull it into an Excel or a CSV, and that can be uploaded into our HRIS, is one way. Some of it's manual data entry. And then also we grant access to our payroll, to W-4s, direct deposit, any of that information that they need. We use, it's called Infinium. And here's what I say. If you know what Infinium is, it's a BOM system, black screen with green type. Whenever I look at it, I say, well, that's because we're giving all of our money to the animals. So it's pretty old school. And even with an old system like that, DocuSign has made us a pretty efficient and technological department. Yeah.
So email is required, right, for the first-time user?
Well, I'm going to say yes, because you have to enter an email address for a Power Form even if you don't have an account. So most of our employees do not have an account. Most of them utilize Power Forms. But a Power Form asks you to type in a name and email. Well, we've made a few workarounds for that where they may type in, plug your ears, maybe a fake email or maybe an HR email or something like that, depending on if the form needs to be authenticated or if they're going to sign with their actual signature on an iPad. So we found a workaround for just about everything.
Yeah, there are multiple ways to do authentication beyond email. Email tends to be
Yes.
the standard one because it's an easy way to know, I'm notified that I have a document to go and sign. I can, seamlessly go to it. But, you can get a SMS, you can get a call with a code. There are multiple ways that we support authentication.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of people that actually don't even have emails.
Right.
Or more senior people, so they don't really have any email.
We definitely do too. And you're right, there were some of the features I saw in there where you can get security questions. You type in your social and they ask you security questions. So one of the things that we did was we have an employee pass program every year. Every employee gets 24 guest passes. So they come in and we have them sign saying, I'm not going to sell them on Craigslist. But not every employee has an email. So what we did was we eliminated that part and we checked their ID. in front, and then I initialed that I checked the ID. So that was another way to do it. I mean, lots of different ways. You can just be creative and, yeah. Yes, that's how we did it. And we removed the landing page because on the landing page, it asks for name and email. And if you want to go in and be anonymous, you're terrified, you just quit. And so for us, we were losing valuable animal welfare information. So we eliminated the landing page, which you can do without any special coding, and we put it directly on the form in red. If you want to be anonymous, here's how you do it. And then we kept getting our animal welfare, very important information. Please.
So for the vacation approval process, can you do like, for example, several levels of approval?
Yes.
Different group of people sign it,
Yes.
the director move to the next big person.
Yes. So we have it built into the form where we ask, what's your name, what's your supervisor's name, and then we have, it always goes to payroll. But there are lots of other ways that you can do it. You can have the first person fill out their information, the next person hosts the document, and they choose who the next signer is. So I could send something to you in your company, and I want it to go to your payroll, but I don't know who they are. So I make you the host, and you type in who payroll is. So yeah, you can have lots of different levels. And I have a form. Sorry, and you're like, it's time to go.
You've got time.
Our horticulture department, they're in charge of our fire extinguisher checks. So they have to check 1,800 acres of fire extinguishers. And so we have several departments on there because that's a big task. We have probably 40 people. And 40 people need to initial the day and location of their fire extinguisher. Well, this doesn't get done in one day. It gets done over several weeks. So we did an envelope that the first person sends out. We have one number 1 as the sender, and we have 40 number 2s. So they all get it at the same time. No one's above anyone else. But the form is not going to be complete until all 40 are done. So all 40 can just go back to their email whenever they've visited their fire extinguisher. And then, of course, we do have a deadline, so we set reminders. And while reminders are very annoying, they're very effective. I have proof about that. So, yeah, the routing, I mean, we've done unlimited different ways. So, great question. Anyone else?
Okay, go ahead.
Please. Okay, so
That's what everyone's been asking.
yeah, cheetahs are very scent motivated. So cheetahs, like we have perfumes and colognes. We get them donated a lot, and by putting different perfumes and colognes around the exhibit, they're so enriched. And then we have other animal generated byproducts that they love. They love to be nearby. A fun fact about the safari park, all of our predators are upwind of our what the prey would be, and it's so that the prey are always, they're instinctually intact, so we can release them back into the wild, as is our goal. So yeah, those are our cheetah toys. Smells. If you ever get a cheetah, they love smells. You're welcome. Okay, yes, thank you. Great, my favorite question.
All right, but before you go, if you had one piece of advice for folks either starting on their DocuSign journey or trying to take that next step, what thought would you leave them with?
I've seen a lot of software and implementation and great ideas fall by the wayside because it didn't have a champion or you didn't put the right person on it that was excited about it. DocuSign should be in your company. We learned yesterday at the closing keynote that it's a no-brainer. That's 100% true. But if you don't get the right group or the right person to spearhead it, it's going to fall to the wayside. It's easy to use, but you need someone to tell you that. And where we were always doing it the way it's always been done, we could have stuck with that. But we had a group to break through that. So I would say if you're going to do it, get someone who is the right person or the right department because they'll be able to build the excitement. It sells itself, but you got to get someone to introduce it to everyone else.
Okay.
Does that
Great.
help?
Round of applause for Sisha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Next up, you've got lunch, so across to the partner tent. Thank you, guys.